Hi, readers. I'm Lori. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time visiting, or welcome back if you are one of my most amazing subscribers. I'm happy that you're here today. It is soul-sucking hot where I live, and I think honestly it is for a lot of us this season. I keep seeing YouTubers talk about how hot it is. In New York, I saw somebody talking about that earlier today. It's hot where I live in the South, obviously. It's hot in Chicago, where I'm from. It's hot in Colorado, in Arizona, where my sister is. It's hot everywhere. It is so hot that I don't even want to go outside, and I have to watch how long I let the dogs stay out there because they love to sunbathe on the back patio. But for this reason, I'm bringing forward 8 books today that are set in winter. And the hope is that if we start to look at some winter books, perhaps we will feel better about the soul-sucking heat. I don't know, but it's worth a try. It's also something that some people refer to as Christmas in July. I know there are lots of folks that watch Christmas movies in July or read Christmas books, so I thought, while this isn't Christmas, these are all set in a winter time. They're all a bit, I think every one of them is a bit thrilling. Am I right about this? Yes, I think I am. They're all mystery thrillers, which is not unusual for me because that's probably what I read the most of, especially at this phase in my life. But one of them is historical fiction as well. So I don't even know if it's a thriller as much as it is speculative. So we're going to talk about these now. So the first four that I'm going to show you are the ones I've already read and enjoyed. So I'm recommending them to you. And then the other four are books that are on my shelves that I might be able to get to in late July, early August. So let's get started. All right, so the first one is a Kristen Hanna pick. This is Winter Garden. I read this a long time ago, but to be honest, I really feel like I need to read it again because when I was reading it, it was a time in my life where I wasn't focusing very well, and I just remember struggling with it. And I feel like this was about the time and place rather than the book itself. This is about two sisters whose names I'll have to look up, Meredith and Nina Whitson. They're very different. So one of them stayed at home and raised her children, and the other one traveled the world. So they've been kind of estranged themselves, and they return to their family home that their parents are living in because their dad is not well. He's on his deathbed. And on his deathbed, he gets his wife, Anya, I think her name is, yes, I remember that, Anya, to promise that she will tell them a story, a fairy tale that she wrote years and years and years before. So she reluctantly agrees because it's his deathbed wish. Now, Anya is not an easy woman. The way they describe her reminds me of one of my grandmothers. She was great with grandchildren, but she was stoic, didn't speak a lot to people, was kind of gruff, and just had a sense about her which made people think really that she didn't like them or that she wasn't a happy person. But she was a happy person and she liked a lot of people. She was just kind of standoffish a little bit. That was just her personality. But in this case, Anya decides she's going to go ahead and fulfill this wish with her daughters, and she has this relationship with her daughters that I really remember being very difficult, very challenging, but nevertheless, she does. However, when she tells them this mysterious love story, fairy tale, they realize that there might be something to it. So it's set in frozen, war-torn Leningrad and modern-day Alaska are the two settings of this particular book. And so I do recommend it. I did enjoy it. I just, again, don't remember a lot of it because it took me, as I remember, forever to read. But Kristen Hanna is, most of the time, she writes something that I really love. And so I think I'm going to get back to this at some point. So this one, Simone St. James, The Broken Girls, this is the first book I ever read by Simone St. James, and I loved it so much. I have collected almost all of her books by now, and not quite a completist, but getting there. The Broken Girls, I remember vividly reading, and I remember it being atmospheric. I remember seeing the places and imagining what they looked like and the girls and all of that. So it really does come alive on the page, I think, and it certainly did for me. This one is set in two timelines. Vermont in 1950. A group of girls live in this home for girls, essentially, and they're there because they've done something or something's happened to them or there's some sort of maybe not crime, but unruliness, difficulty. They need special care and their parents have sent them off, or maybe doctors have sent them off to this place in Vermont. And while they're all there and you get this sort of background about them and what they do there and how living there is and all of that, one of them mysteriously disappears. Now, fast forward to 2014 Vermont, Fiona Sheridan's sister is the one who disappeared. And she was found in 2014 in the overgrown kind of area that they are clearing because they're building, I think, another school or another place. Somehow there's some construction going on, as I remember. And so that's how they find her. And this is near the place where the Idlewild Hall, which is this place where they lived, was located. And so Fiona is trying to figure out how this happened. So her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted of the murder, but she also has always thought that something isn't quite right. And so she's back to try to find out what happened and confront secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past and a voice that won't be silenced. It's creepy. I loved it. I really recommend it. Really, really liked it. The next one I read this year is Penitence by Kristen Koval. I really enjoyed this one. It's a Book of the Month Club selection for January, February. That's when it was. And this one is also set in a cold climate. I love this cover, so it really does sort of help your expectation. This is about a murder. Angie and David's daughter kills her brother. She's fairly young, and she calls the police to tell them that she's just killed her brother. You can imagine Angie and David are devastated, grieving, worried about their child, don't know what's going to happen to her. And they end up calling a woman whom Angie knew because she grew up with this woman in her life. Her and her mom were friends, and she also had a son that Angie had a relationship with when she was younger. And she and that son also had something that happened in their lives that was difficult and could have ended in a different way. And his name is Julian. Martine is the older woman, the mom that she calls for help, but Julian, then also a lawyer in New York, agrees to come and help this case with this girl who's clearly admitted already and confessed that she killed her brother. So it goes back and forth from when Angie and Julian were younger into present day, which I will say was sometimes a little rocky for me, and I'm not sure why it was. It could have been my mood, but it's not like it's not delineated well, but it does go back and forth a lot. Also, Angie and David are experiencing difficulty, you can imagine, with their relationship because their daughter killed someone, and they both have different kind of responses to that. This says it's an addictive page turner. I would say that's true. I would also say this is literary fiction, and it's very well done. And that's what I'm going to finish with. It's very well done. And it's fairly short. This one, 300, just a little over 300 pages. So not too long to read, but very atmospherically cold. Skiing, right? Like skiing. You know what I mean. All right. The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I really remember this one as being atmospheric as well, and I felt the cold, and I enjoyed the plot of this very much. This is Julia Bartz's first novel. Her debut. I did just buy the last session from her last work. That one came out on Book of the Month as well. But this one, it was so good. This one is a woman named Rosa. Rosa Vallow. That's where that came from. Rosa Vallow is a horror author, and she's very successful, and she's really trying to give back to up and coming artists. So she creates a writing retreat for them, and she invites a number of people, or they apply. But in this particular case, Alex, the main character in this book as well, doesn't apply. They send her an invitation to Rosavallo's writing retreat, and she wants her best friend to be able to go too, but her best friend is not going. She ends up saying yes to Rosa and accepts the invitation. And she thinks she's just going to go for a month on this retreat and write whatever she wants and, enjoy the time and whatever, be with other writers. When she gets there, though, Rosavallo gives them some ultimatums or some rules about what they have to do while they're there. And one of those rules is that they have to write an entire novel in a month. And then they all submit it to her, and then she reads them, and then she decides which one of them is going to win a publishing deal as a result. Rosa lives in this beautiful, I remember it being like a mansion, and it had different little places and weird things set up in the novel, which is what makes it start to get a little dark and twisty. But also, Rosa is becoming a little less like welcome and really becoming much more authoritarian and a bit of a dictator. And so you watch this kind of shift over time. And what happens at the end is really, I felt like, really propulsive, really like a nice cliffhanger, so to speak. It ends up well, but I love this. This came out in February of 2023, so it's been out for a while, and yeah, it sticks with me all this time. Then I have These Silent Woods. Yes, I know. These are just so dark. This one is off the grid, everything to lose, nowhere left to hide. I started this one a while ago too and didn't get very far in it because I had something else to do. So I got to 49 pages, but I want to start this again and get to it. It should be quick, right? It's one of those weirdly shaped mass market paperbacks. This one is Kimmy Cunningham Grant. Never read anything by her, but the premise of this is Cooper and his young daughter Finch have gone off the grid. Their mother, I think her mother died as well, and she lives with her dad. She's young, and they live out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, right? And they have a guy that comes and brings them food and supplies once in a while. I can't remember how often, but they have a cabin. And they only know this one guy locally who's a hermit. And so he kind of connects with them now and again too, but he's not the guy that brings them food and stuff. That guy's name is Jake. And this year, I think he comes once a year, Jake doesn't show up. So they have a problem because they're going to run out of food and other supplies because Jake isn't there. And a stranger wanders into the woods. That's all I want and need to know, but it sounds really good. This is the historical fiction kind of speculative one that I've had on my shelves. Many of you know for a long time, The Snowchild by Ewan Ivey. What's really made it call to me lately is because I just got her other book that's fairly new, but also because snow, winter, I need the cold. Like I need to turn my AC down as far as I can afford it to be. And it's just perfect. It's just perfect for reading about snow in the summer. Right? This one is set in the 1920s in Alaska. A young couple who cannot have children are really lonely and really wishing that they could. And they go out and they build a snowman, a childlike snowman, snow person. And they finish and they leave it and they go to bed. And the next thing they know, a young child shows up at their doorstep. She calls herself Faina, and she is very unique. She seems magical. She has a red fox at her side, and she manages somehow to survive in the Alaskan wilderness. So they're trying to understand her, but they're not sure how this happened. How is this real? What's going to happen next? I don't know. But this one got a lot of good buzz when it came out, and I really do want to get to this. I know a lot of people really love that. Oh my goodness, I just almost lost my whole stack. Sorry. So that one is a good one for me to consider for a snowy summer read. And then, of course, I can pick these up in the winter too. This is Black Ice by Karen Gerhardsen. Ragnar Jonasson blurbed this, and I love Ragnar Jonasson, and I love these Nordic noir mystery novel. So this one is set in January in Gotland. And of course, in the winter, shorter days, longer nights, wintry conditions. And it says, in the midst of a brief period, a deadly accident, two separate crimes leave victims in their wake. So 4 years later, I'm reading this to you because I don't know as much about this one. A single phone call is all it takes to bring back the terror of that day and to set in motion a plot for revenge. For Sandra, it started as an unremarkable wintry day of shopping, followed by a kind gesture from a stranger. For Jeanette, it began with the thrill of an illicit rendezvous with her lover. Both women had driven past the same icy ravine, but only one was in the car that caused a deadly crash. Only one left a man to die in the snow. Each carried a secret from that day, if revealed, could connect them to a larger, more terrible transgression. And there is someone out there who knows the whole picture and would rather kill than allow it to all come to life. I love this cover. Could you be any more Icelandic than that? Yeah. So I really want to get to this one. It's not been long ago since I picked this up. Can't remember if I got this on Blackwell's or not, but this is set in 2014, so it's not historical fiction. It came out in 2018. I would love to get to this. It's not small, but it's not horribly large either. Let's see. 369 pages. So the last one is A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. This is one I got in January of this year through Book of the Month, and one that I really want to read. I was so excited by the premise of this one that it was obviously my pick. But this one is about a woman named Theodora, and she's met a man named Connor who is different from her. He's got a lot of money. He has a very well-heeled family. They do things that she probably doesn't do. And Theodora falls in love with him very quickly. So he decides, about 6 months or so later, they've been dating, he decides to take her to Idlewood, to his family home, Idlewood, and then I think Broken Girls is Idlewild, right? Maybe it's the opposite, but nevertheless, he takes her to this family place where they always spend the winters, and I think they probably ski or something. But Theodora, or Theo, as she's also known in the synopsis of this book, starts getting messages from someone she doesn't know that are warning her about Connor and about where she is and shouldn't go and should be careful and those kinds of things. And she's also noticing that when she gets in this cabin, she feels like she's been there before. Also a little strange, right? So then next thing you know, she finds a photo of herself as a child taken at Idlewood. Yes, please. I can't wait. This one is also a little bit, this is probably the shortest one, maybe. Maybe not, because the paperback might be short too. This is 289 pages, but I feel like it would be 289 pages of relief from this hot climate, but also of propulsive mystery thriller. I cannot wait to get to that one soon as well. Will it happen in August? I don't know. I have not prioritized this. I think if I were to say which one I would want to read first, it would either be A Killing Cold or Black Ice, and then the Snowchild and maybe the Woods would be the last one. I don't know. It depends on my mood, so I'm just going to let it flow and build up the suspense like the snow builds up into, an amazing, beautiful thing. I miss the snow. Growing up in Chicago, we had a lot of snow. I've lived in other places where we had snow. Even when we lived in Washington, D.C., we had snow. I miss snow. I could have read any of these in the beginning of the year. We had snow this year at the beginning of 2025, and it was quite something. I mean, we had real snow. So I'm ready. I'm ready for a hot beverage, turn the air conditioning down to 65 and grab one of these books and work my way through it in a day. Let's see. Let's see if that can happen. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you are surviving this incredible summer heat wherever you live. And if you've read any of these or you'd like to read any of these, let me know in the comments below. And if you don't want to comment, but you want me to know that you're here, you could comment an emoji that's a snowflake or something related to the winter, whatever works for you. I think there's a wind cloud or something there too. There's so many emojis these days for you to choose from, but give me something cold to help me feel a little less overheated in this summer. And as always, happy reading. Bye.